Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. I'm Julius Krein. I'm the editor of American Affairs. I hope you grabbed a copy on your way in. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to the second Energy Imperative Summit. I know all of you had your choice of which major DC energy conference to attend today. So we're grateful that you chose this one. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I hardly need to explain to this audience that we think of these issues as imperative, not only from the perspective of energy policy itself, but because energy is so foundational to pretty much every other policy goal, from economic policy to indeed security. And in true American affairs fashion, we will not be content with cliched sound bites, but look forward to delving into the often comically dense complexities that characterize electricity markets and energy policy. We've got a great lineup of speakers to advance these conversations. I'd especially like to thank our co-hosts, the American Conservation Coalition and the Foundation for American Innovation, along with our other partners and sponsors who made this possible. With that, I'm pleased to get things started and turn it over to our first speaker, one of, in my opinion, the most proactive and thoughtful elected officials in America today on these issues, Utah Governor Spencer Cox.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be with you. I'm honored to be able to spend some time with my people, with the builders of this country. Thank you for your vision and your willingness to engage on these important topics. I know several of you were out at our Operation Gigawatt Summit just a few weeks ago. I apologize that this is a little bit of a retread of some of my remarks there, but they remain as important as ever. Of course, I want to thank our host today, American Affairs, the American Conservation Coalition, and the Foundation for American Innovation for bringing us all together and making this possible. So, of course, we're here to talk about energy, but energy is not simply one industry among many. It is the foundation that makes every other industry possible. It powers our homes, our hospitals, our factories, our schools, and our communities. It is easy to talk about energy in technical terms, gigawatts and transmission lines, permitting timelines, fuel sources, load forecasts, and on and on. Those things, of course, matter. But if that is all we talk about, we're really going to miss the bigger picture. Energy is not a destination. The real question is not how many megawatts or gigawatts we can produce. The real question is what those gigawatts make possible in the lives of human beings. Do they help a young family afford a home? Do they power the factories that strengthen communities and create opportunity? Do they help researchers discover new cures for diseases that have plagued humanity for generations? Do they support innovations that allow people to live longer, healthier, and more fulfilling lives? Do they create a future where our children have more opportunities than we did? That is why this conversation matters. Energy matters because people matter. When we talk about energy addition, we're talking about something much bigger than power generation. We're talking about human flourishing. And I believe that that understanding is critical because for far too long, America has had the wrong conversation about energy. You see, for decades, we grew accustomed to a politics of limits and limitations, a politics of scarcity, a politics that often asked what we should stop building instead of what we should start building. We assumed that demand would remain relatively flat, and it did for a long time. We assumed efficiency alone could solve most of our challenges. We became very comfortable simply managing restraints. And then the world almost overnight changed. Advanced computing, advanced manufacturing, biotechnology, all of these things restored some strategic industries here in our country, and certainly the reshoring of strategic industries. These developments are creating extraordinary new demands on our energy systems, but we should resist the temptation to think that meeting demand is the goal. Demand is simply a signal. The goal is to build a future worthy of that demand, a future where extraordinary technologies improve human lives, a future where innovation strengthens families and communities, a future where prosperity is more widely shared, and a future where America once again demonstrates that free people can solve big problems and build big things. That future requires energy, a lot of energy. And that is why I believe we are entering a new era, an era where abundance matters, an era where we have to think bigger than we have thought in a very, very long time. Now, in Utah, we've chosen to embrace that challenge. Last month, we convened leaders from government, industry, investment, and technology for what we called Operation Gigawatt. The premise was simple. If we want the next generation to inherit greater opportunity, we must build the energy capacity that makes that opportunity possible. Operation Gigawatt was never really about the gigawatts. We just thought it was a great name, but it was about ambition. It was about asking whether America still had the confidence to build, whether we still believe that the future can be better than the present, and whether we are willing to invest in things that make that prosperity possible. The only thing worse than a scarcity of energy is a scarcity of ambition. And unfortunately, in recent years, both have become scarce. Too often we become more comfortable saying no than saying yes, more comfortable identifying risks than pursuing opportunities, and more comfortable managing decline than building growth. Now, I want to be very clear about something as we enter this new era. Prudence does still matter. Good stewardship matters. Leaders have a responsibility to ask really hard questions. And not every technology is beneficial. Not every project is wise. We have obligations to protect communities and safeguard public trust and ensure that innovation serves people rather than the other way around. But if fear becomes our governing philosophy, we will stop building or never start again. And when we stop building, we stop progressing. Throughout our proud history of America, 250 years as the greatest nation in the history of the world, we have succeeded because we were willing to dream big and build big. We built railroads that connected a continent. We built dams that electrified communities. We built highways that transformed commerce. We built research institutions that cured diseases. We built technologies that changed the world. And these achievements were not inevitable. They happened because previous generations chose possibility over pessimism. They believed the future could be better than the present, and they acted accordingly. Today, we face a similar choice. We can continue treating energy as a constraint, or we can recognize it as an opportunity to strengthen national security, an opportunity to expand American manufacturing, an opportunity to lower costs and improve reliability, an opportunity to unlock innovations that improve human lives, an opportunity to create a future of greater abundance. Now, that future will not happen automatically. As it did in the past, it will require deliberate action from all of us today. It certainly requires permitting reform, and I'm grateful that that's been one of the major focuses of this conference. And you're going to hear from Emily in a minute. By the way, you don't have to remember anything I said. Please listen to Emily. She's so good at this stuff, and we're lucky to have her. One of the most frustrating results in modern America, though, is that it takes longer to permit a project than it does to build it. I like to remind people that we built a transcontinental railroad across this nation. We did the impossible in about 6 years. In Utah, it took us 14 years to get our last transmission line permitted. Not built, just to get approvals. That should concern all of us. We can move faster without sacrificing safety. By the way, I like to remind people that 14 years it took us to get that permit, we didn't save one extra tree or one animal. It was the It was the original path that was proposed that finally got permitted. There was no safety improvements, no community improvements. The only thing that changed was the cost. It cost 5 times more 15 years later than it would have cost if we built it in year 1. We can streamline these processes without lowering any standards. Of course, we can reduce duplication, improve coordination, and create greater predictability for people to invest their capital. Efficiency and accountability should not be partisan goals. They should be common sense goals. But it does require capital. Ideas do not power homes. Announcements do not power factories. Press releases do not power communities. Real projects do, and real projects require investment. We need policies that encourage long-term investment in the infrastructure and energy systems that support national prosperity. And we need investors who are willing to take seriously the opportunities before us. But finally, it requires innovation. And innovation cannot be measured by prototypes alone. The real test of innovation is deployment. Can we build it? Can we scale it? Can we make it affordable? Can we make it reliable? Can we make it available to the people who need it most? Those are the questions that matter. And I remain hopeful and optimistic because I believe America still possesses the ingredients necessary to answer those questions. We still have the best entrepreneurs anywhere in the world. We still have world-class researchers. We still have talented workers. We still have abundant resources. And we still have communities that are ambitious, that want to grow and contribute. And perhaps most importantly, because we have people like you in this room who are still willing to build. That matters because the conversation about energy is ultimately a conversation about our values. What kind of future do we want? What kind of country do we want to leave behind? What obligations do we owe the next generation? At our best, American ambition has never been merely about wealth or power. It has been about creating opportunities for others. It has been about expanding freedom. It has been about improving lives. It has been ambition paired with responsibility, innovation paired with virtue, progress paired with purpose. That is what the common good requires. The common good is achieved when we create the conditions for people to thrive, when families can build stable lives and homes, when communities can prosper, when innovators can solve hard problems, when workers can find meaningful opportunities, when children can inherit a future that is brighter than the one that we inherited. That's why energy matters. Not because electrons are inherently important, but because of what those electrons make possible. Now, we are living through one of those, I think, really cool and rare moments when the decisions we make can actually change the world and shape generations. Future Americans will not judge us by how accurately we forecasted load growth. They will not judge us by how many meetings or conferences we held, although I'm grateful for these conferences. They will judge us by whether we had the courage and the audacity and the ambition to actually build some stuff. Whether we expanded the realm of possibility. Whether we left behind a nation that was more capable, more prosperous, more safe, and more hopeful than the one that we inherited. The only thing worse, again, than scarcity of energy is a scarcity of ambition. America cannot afford either one. Energy abundance is not the end goal. It is the means by which we build healthier lives, stronger families, greater opportunity, and a future worthy of the next generation. That is the common good. May God bless you as you continue to build. Thank you.